Talk Money to Me is a financial podcast produced by TransGlobal. All opinions expressed by the host and guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of TransGlobal. This podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be relied upon as basis for investment decisions.
Hey everybody, welcome to Talk Money to Me, where we talk about money and how it affects you. I'm your co-host Jonathan, and I know a little bit about finance.
And I'm your other co-host, Tracy, and I know almost nothing about finance.
We have two wonderful guests with us today. I'll go ahead and let them introduce themselves.
Hi, thanks for having me back. I'm Stephanie, and I am a personal finance enthusiast.
Hey everyone, my name is Jason, and I handle insurance, and I have 8 years experience.
Let's get to the brass tacks. Today we're going to be talking about mutual funds and ETFs.
What I understand is if I want to invest in stocks, I have to go to a brokerage and I have to choose from like a bajillion stocks, which ones I want to buy. And I have to do 10,000 hours of research. No, I'm just kidding. But like seriously. So now you're saying I have to learn about these two new things called mutual funds and ETFs, which sounds like a UFO. So I guess my first question is, why do I need to know about mutual funds and ETFs?
Mutual funds and ETFs are actually the solution to the problem you brought up about being confused and not knowing what to invest in and which ones do I, which ones do I buy? And why does Chipotle cost $1,297 as of today?
No, Chipotle only costs $8. Which Chipotle are you going to?
So this is the stock, okay? So one share of Chipotle costs $1,297 as of today, December 2nd, 2020.
Lots of burritos.
Lots of burritos,
Mr.
right?
Chipotle is so rich. Or Mrs., I guess.
Right? So it's like kind of impossible to like buy a stock that costs that much, and you have to think about it. You're risking your entire $1,200 to put into one stock, and you don't know how it's going to go perform, right? So mutual funds take away that, problem so what it is, a mutual fund is a fund that's pulled together by like multiple investors and a pool of investors, and you kind of have this fund manager, and that fund manager handpicks the stocks and bonds and whatever other kind of securities, right? So these are assets that you can invest in. So they take the hard part about picking and choosing. Say that we only have, each of us, all four of us, we only have $250. Obviously, we can't buy one Chipotle stock individually, right? But if we pool our money together, we can purchase one Chipotle stock together. But then when we sell it at a later time and it increases, right? Let's say it goes to like $2,000, then your return would be higher, but it wouldn't have been possible unless mutual funds existed, right?
So having a manager, a third-party manager, allows you to buy only a portion of a single stock rather than the whole stock.
Yeah, and of like the manager, right? There's actually for mutual funds, because they're actively picking and choosing these stocks for you after you pull in that money, they have a management fee. And usually that's around like 1% to 2% of your account balance. So like, right, today we buy the stock, our account balance, each of us is still $250. But say that it doubles, right? And it goes to 2,000, one share goes to 2,000, then our account value would double as well. So it'd go to 500. And then when it becomes 500, that $500 you would be charged at a 1% to 2% annual fee, because the manager did a good job. He got you some, money. And so you kind of like, it's kind of a win-win situation.
But what if the manager loses my money?
So that's the problem, right? The manager, if he's a bad manager, he will still charge you the rate at which, his 1% to 2% or whatever it is.
How dare that manager?
Yeah, he'll still charge you based off of your balance, your account balance.
Get you a real manager.
Dave. No, I'm just kidding. I just made up a name. So a mutual fund is like any other product that I could buy at a brokerage. It's like, instead of buying a stock at one place, I'm buying a combo stock that someone else curated. So it's helpful to me because I don't have to actually pick the individual stocks.
Exactly.
Got it. That sounds cool. Yeah. Except for the fee, and except if I get a bad manager.
So index funds were created to solve one of those problems, which is the high management fee. You will have a manager for the fund, but they won't be actively managing it, meaning they won't handpick like they did in mutual funds, right? So index funds, what they do is they follow in a particular index. And indexes measure how the market's doing. So like one of the largest long-standing index is the S&P 500. So the S&P 500 kind of tries to choose big players or big, stocks that will compile together and mirror how the market is doing. And so index funds therefore mirror that index, the S&P 500, for example. Yeah, it's like copy paste. Like this fund manager is kind of like, rather than like picking it all by himself, he just like copies S&P 500 and then pastes it into this fund, making his job a lot easier, therefore the fees much less.
So it's like buying a $5 gift basket at Target versus putting together a gift basket for your friend of only the candies that they like. Kind of.
Basket's
not really.
probably a little more expensive
Okay.
than that, but
Yeah, but it makes sense to me that if you copy and paste a method of choosing stocks and mirror off of an index that's an algorithm, then the management fee isn't going to be as high. So that seems good. But then why do we need ETFs?
Well, ETFs, it's actually an acronym which stands for Exchange Traded Funds. They're essentially a compilation of multiple stocks as opposed to just one security or one stock. It's traded on the same exchanges that regular stocks, individual singular stocks are traded on. For someone that maybe wants to invest in not just one particular company or one particular industry in general, maybe it's like an entire sector, and it could be anything from like transportation to energy, finance, you name it. The reason why people will trade ETFs or they might invest in ETFs as opposed to mutual funds is more hands-on. So if you're somebody that has the experience or someone that is interested in investing in yourself, as opposed to handing off your money to somebody and trusting them with the amount of money that you're trying to put in. And also, I would definitely say that there's less fees, but at the same time, it really just depends on the brokerage that you're using. Nowadays, there's so many free brokerages, meaning that they don't have any sign-up fees. There's no commission when you actually make a trade. So the positive thing about an ETF is the fact that you can actually trade it just like a regular stock, except it's a compilation of multiple stocks.
So then to kind of wrap up everything that we've learned, first you've got stocks, which is your a la carte chicken that you just order. Do what you want with it. Next, it moves on over to mutual funds, where you have a manager, a gourmet person preparing this really nice combo platter for you. So there's chicken, there's beef, there's lamb if you like that, there's pork. After the mutual funds, since it costs money to make someone do stuff for you, you move on to index funds, where instead of having someone pick and choose, you just follow a set recipe, like fast foods do with their burgers, fries, drink combo. After that, you've got your ETFs, where you now have control of this like combo thing. And similar to stocks, you can now do whatever you want with it instead of having to wait at specific times. Whereas with mutual funds and index funds, you can only purchase this combo platter once a day. With ETFs, you can purchase this combo platter multiple times a day, whenever you want.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you know what's in the combo if you want to look it up for ETFs.
Okay, cool.
For all of them, for all funds,
Yeah,
you're able to see
technically,
how they're made up of, what stocks they're made up of.
So now that we're all very hungry and want combo platters after this podcast recording, even when I am choosing between the opinion of a gourmet chef or buying a combo platter, which I actually normally prefer, so I'm really glad that you told me about mutual funds and ETFs. What are some things that I should be looking out for? Because I wouldn't even know where to begin. Because now it sounds like there's lots of different ETFs, lots of different mutual funds that I could explore, right? So my question is, what are some factors I should consider?
Certain brokerages will offer a limited amount of things. Just the same thing, like you go to one store, right? They're going to offer a limited amount of things. And then one other store is going to offer a limited amount of things. But one store might offer what this store includes, but more. right? So, and that's the same thing with brokerages. They can offer more, but
So you're going to tell me about the Amazon of brokerages.
right, yeah. So like, yeah, you can have an Amazon brokerage which like does everything. Just for example, there's like a couple major brokerages. I'm going to just use example Fidelity, Charles Schwab's, and Vanguard, right? So these three, let's say that I go with Fidelity, right? Because they're like, oh, I look at their index funds and they have really low expense ratios, which is like the fees that you have to pay, right? And so I go with Fidelity. But once I get into Fidelity and I'm like looking at other index funds that aren't managed by Fidelity, let's say they're managed by Charles Schwab's. If I want to purchase a Charles Schwab index fund that's managed by them, it would cost me more money than if I was already in Charles Schwab's and purchasing one of their own.
Okay, so brokerages
Mhm.
have their own mutual funds and ETFs that are managed by basically their in-house managers.
They
And so if I
could.
wanted to buy, yeah, so it's like buying IKEA furniture from Amazon. It's freaking expensive because they're not in Switzerland.
Yeah. So it's like, right, you're kind of like having a third party do it, you know. So
Okay.
it's better to go directly to whoever is managing it to buy from them.
When it comes to trying to figure out what to do with ETFs and mutual funds, what other factors can I consider in terms of how I should make my decision?
You know, it really depends on the amount of money you want to invest in, the amount of time you have to do the investments. Again, if you're somebody that really just doesn't have the time or have any interest in, you know, trading stocks or whatnot, you can go to a mutual fund broker and, you know, put your money into an account and let them manage it. But if you're someone, you know, like myself, I personally like to be more hands-on. So I would choose ETFs because I can actually control which, you know, the exact type of ETFs that I want. And I can, you know, decide whether or not I want to just buy one share or I could buy however many shares I can afford. So for me, that's how I kind of compare it. Um, Again, every brokerage has different fees. Every ETF, every mutual fund is going to cost different. So ultimately, it really depends on the person and, you know, what their preference is. And the best thing to really do is to at least take the initiative to do the research to figure out exactly um, what you know might fit you or your personal needs, and then go from there.
Originally, we were talking about stocks and I was already stressed. And it sounds like this is also going to require research, which is fine. I think that anything requires research, but is there like something like a Yelp or something for like finance? Because part of the thing that I do for restaurants is I like look up reviews, right? But I wouldn't even really know where to begin to look into like how highly ranked this brokerage is or how competitive their products are. And so what am I looking for when I look for like seriously, what have I been looking for? I can't just type in like Google what will make more money for me, right? I don't think that will work.
So this is actually something me and Jason differ in. He trades ETFs. I like to trade index funds. So index funds for me, the reason why I choose that is because it's traded once a day. I don't really like looking at the ups and downs of, you know, like trading it throughout the day. I don't
Sounds
like, I get,
stressful.
that's so stressful for me. You know, I'm a long-term trader. I'm trading for, you know, retirement. So I'm just going to keep my money in there and then wait until, you know, I retire, let that money accumulate. And then at that point I will sell. So I don't really need to see the ups and downs of the day. And then in addition to that, like index funds, because they're traded once a day, and they're inherently different. ETFs, like Jason mentioned, they're kind of like in shares, right? You purchase by share, and therefore ETFs have a set value for their per share. And so for me, like I like index funds because it's not like that. You can purchase it to the dollar amount. Like let's say I have in my savings $125 and like 10 cents. I can put the entire $125.10 and purchase an index fund, because even to the cent you can purchase into an index fund. But like ETFs, let's say that the ETF is like $100 for that particular ETF. My $120 and like 10 cents, the $20.10, I wouldn't be able to buy another share of that ETF, right? So it just kind of sits there. So that's why I like index funds. But again, there are upsides and downsides, and the benefit of an ETF is for those who like to trade throughout the day. Like, Jason, he's very hands-on.
As we kind of draw to a close, I think we've been given a lot of ideas and information about how we can get started. But for any newcomer into the finance world, it's always important to think about what things to watch out for.
I want to say real quick, just my personal opinion, I just see too many people jump into investments or investing in general without any knowledge, without doing any research. And when you're doing that, you're pretty much driving blind, right? You have no lights on, or whatever you want to, however you want to compare it. And when you do that, for example, if I just Google some random mutual fund, I just throw money in there. Do I really know how good this company is or how good this brokerage is, right? Same thing with the ETF. If I just pick an ETF at any random time, I might be buying too high, right? And that stock or that ETF might tank. So ultimately, I really do emphasize, there's a stock term, traders use it all the time. It's called due diligence. Basically, make sure you're doing your research, make sure you're getting self-knowledge first before you just go blindly into this.
Unless, as I learned from Mulan, you have a cricket. Then you can close your eyes and walk across the street with a cricket and buy whatever mutual funds you want.
All right.
Just kidding.
Well, with that, thank you so much, Stephanie and Jason, for giving us a bit more insight. And hopefully, at least you, our listeners out there, have a better understanding of how money, at least in mutual funds and ETFs, can affect you. With that, we'll catch you on our next episode. Take care. Bye.